I'm Angela Hara, live outside of Huntington Beach's City Hall. Today is National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk, who was just assassinated last month. Coming up, I'll tell you what one OC city plans to build in Kirk's honor.
Hear from a controversial group about election fraud. We'll tell you about the drastic action one city leader says should happen for 2026 voting.
I'm Lisa Pressler, live outside of Kaiser Permanente in Anaheim, where healthcare workers have walked off the jobs today. I'll tell you why. More this story, plus sports and weather, up next.
From Orange, California, live from Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ryan Kaiser.
And I'm Caroline Chang. We have a lot of news to get to today, but we begin with the peace deal between Israel and Hamas. Now, President Trump has just returned from the Middle East, where he celebrated what he is calling a historic peace deal between Israel and Hamas, marking a possible end to the years-long conflict. Now, the final 20 Israeli living hostages were released yesterday as part of a sweeping U.S. orchestrated deal that also freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Trump addressed lawmakers at the Knesset and praised what he calls the start of, quote, enduring peace and prosperity.
After so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
While the ceasefire is holding at this point, Israel today says it will decrease the amount of aid it is sending to Gaza because Hamas has delayed returning the bodies of the Israeli hostages who were killed.
It's been more than a month since the assassination of right-wing activist Charlie Kirk, shot and killed while speaking on a Utah campus today. His birthday is being marked as a National Day of Remembrance.
Yeah, Ryan, our Angela Hara is at Huntington Beach's City Hall, where council members have a plan to honor the conservative influencer. She joins us now. Angela?
Caroline, Ryan, last month Congress approved this National Day of Remembrance just shortly after Kirk's assassination. It was a controversial decision following the intense reaction to his death and the ensuing debate over free speech. Here in OC, the City Council of Huntington Beach, whose 7 members are all politically conservative, want to build a mural to honor Kirk. Now, I spoke with Huntington Beach City Mayor Pat Burns, and he tells me it's important to remember Charlie Kirk's legacy.
I think he left his mark. He definitely was making an impression and educating the younger demographics of our nation, which I think needed to be done. I think they were getting it seemingly.
Now, Mayor Burns tells me that they haven't decided the logistics or the specifics of, for example, where the mural will be located. The council is still in discussion. I'm Angela Hara reporting live from Huntington Beach. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Angela. To the federal government, the shutdown stalemate continues for the 14th day. Democratic leaders are not budging on their demands for health care funding. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson is also digging in.
We're not playing games. They're playing a game. We're not. The strategy is to do the right and obvious thing and keep the government moving for the people.
With the shutdown, federal workers are still being laid off and military families are not receiving their paychecks. Air traffic controllers are also feeling financial pressure.
As last time, bills come due. I have to pay my mortgage payment. I need to provide for my family. I think any time that you have to go without a paycheck, there's a certain level of stress that comes with that.
Now the Senate will meet again today in another attempt to vote on an agreement.
All right, now tens of thousands of healthcare workers are currently on strike.
Our reporter Lisa Pressler is live at Kaiser Permanente with the story.
Thanks, Ryan and Caroline. I'm outside of Kaiser Permanente, where, as you stated, healthcare workers are on strike. They started at 7 a.m. this morning, and it could last up to 5 days. Now, the workers have stated that they have been dealing with negotiations with Kaiser executives and their recent layoffs of 216 workers across California. The United Nurses Associations of California Union says this could be their biggest strike yet, with approximately 46,000 workers in California, Oregon, and Hawaii joining in. The union is asking for higher wages, better benefits, and more staff to address ongoing shortages. They're pushing for a 25% raise over the next 4 years. About 90% nurses are out today. I'm here with one of them, Jay Origario. And Jay, what are you doing out here today?
We're just letting Kaiser know that you gotta treat us fair. All healthcare workers, besides the nurses, we have pharmacists out here. We have all the physical therapists, occupational therapists, optometry, you can name it. All pretty much 61,000 employees across the nation with Kaiser is out saying that we demand a fair contract now that we've been asking since March, and they haven't been showing up to the table.
And where are you at with the negotiations currently?
10 days ago, prior to this first day, we were trying to settle a contract, and Kaiser didn't show up for those last 2 days. So we said enough is enough.
And lastly, how do you think the turnout was today?
Oh man, so far at this location alone, we had 1,500 nurses. I know at all Kaiser medical centers, 31,000 nurses and 60,000 employees altogether. So I think it's a pretty good showing to Kaiser that we mean business and we need to come to the table and settle this contract.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much for speaking with me. Yeah, I'm Lisa Pressler, sending it back to you in the studio.
Thanks for those updates, Lisa. Now, investigators are continuing to look into a dramatic helicopter crash in Huntington Beach. On Saturday afternoon, just before the annual Cars and Copters fundraiser, video caught the moment that a helicopter spiraled out of control and crashed into a pedestrian bridge near PCH. 5 people were injured, 2 passengers on board, and 3 pedestrians below. Among those hurt were the pilot, Eric Nixon, an aviation influencer known for his high-risk stunts, and an 8-year-old boy. All were rushed to the hospital, where officials haven't confirmed their condition. The wreckage was cleared from the scene yesterday, and the area is now open to the public. But the pedestrian bridge remains closed for repairs as investigators continue their work.
Wow. Southern California is seeing a lot of rain today, all thanks to Tropical Storm Priscilla.
No, absolutely, Ryan. It's cats and dogs out there. Our Chapman News weather reporter Madison Miller has been tracking the storm and local forecasts. What do you have for us, Maddie?
Yeah, thanks, guys. There's been heavy rain that started early this morning, and it continues on and off at this hour. Orange County and Los Angeles County could see up to an inch of rainfall, and the last time Los Angeles got an inch of rain in October was back in 2011. This comes after Tropical Storm Priscilla made landfall this past week on the Baja coast of Mexico, and according to the National Hurricane Center, the storm was downgraded from a Category 2 hurricane to a tropical storm last Wednesday. In addition to today's showers, there's a possibility of a tornado in Los Angeles County. Between increased rainfall and the risk of a tornado, a flood advisory has also been issued. Here's a look just outside of our Marriott studios earlier this morning. You can see a lot of rain, some water piling up on the streets right as this car comes by, and you can see kind of that water brushing up onto the sidewalk. Evacuation warnings are also in place in the burn scar areas of the Eden and Palisades fires from earlier this year due to increased risk of debris flow. Southern Californians should expect strong winds, and drivers are advised to exercise caution on the roads. Taking a look at our local temps here in Orange, we're sitting at a cool 63 degrees. Lots of rain also from outside of our Marriott studios. Earlier this morning, we can see lots of rainfall and a lot of wetness out there. It's much cooler than last week, with rain continuing throughout the afternoon, and it's expected to kind of cool it down in the early evening and kind of slow down the rain. We're starting off this week cool with some showers on our 5-day Fenestra forecast, which is expected to blow over by tomorrow and lead to sunny skies and warmer temps through the end of the week. We can see it's kind of gonna go off by the next day and then get sunny later in the week. Taking a look at our OC forecast, generally consistent temps across the board, mid to low 60s. Most of Orange County is seeing those cool temperatures where they'll be seeing a lot of rain. And lastly, taking a look at our national forecast over here, Seattle is still seeing some sunny skies and 61 degrees. Taking a look at San Francisco, just slightly ahead with some clouds at 62 degrees. Palm Springs down in the desert seeing the same weather that we're having here in Orange with those storm clouds. Phoenix just actually got over their microburst from yesterday. They had a microburst from Hurricane Priscilla coming up from that Baja Gulf, and their temps have cooled down, especially for Phoenix. They're normally in the 90s at this time of year. So cooled down to 84, still seeing some skies and recovering from that storm yesterday. Vegas seeing some winds from that. Denver sitting at 62 degrees with some, or 72 degrees, excuse me, with some clouds. Houston and Atlanta still hot and humid down there in the 90s and mid 80s. Looking up at Chicago at 76 with some clouds, Minneapolis with some rain, Miami also humid at 85 degrees with some clouds, and then lastly looking at New York over on the East Coast, recovering from the nor'eastern storm with some clouds and still some cooler temps. Ryan?
Thanks, Maddie. The Huntington Beach City Council is calling for, quote, fair and free elections in 2026. The council recently passed a resolution pledging to ensure legally valid and transparent elections next year. The move came after a presentation to the council by a group called Unite for Freedom. A woman from that group, whom the Daily Pilot reported would not identify herself publicly, presented data to the council. The group claims that more than 20% of ballots cast here in Orange County in the 2024 election were unverifiable. But an Orange County grand jury in January found no evidence of fraud in the elections. Still, Mayor Pat Burns thinks drastic action is needed to restore public confidence in the election process.
Personally, my view is I would love us just to put this all to an end is scrap every roll, every voter roll in the country and make everybody re-register. And because you have tons of people and even in Orange County, yet the nation, that are dead, that have been dead for ages. That's been proven. In California, they've had dogs and other pets registered. We need integrity, because if people question their vote, that the validity of their vote, it's more likely that they will not vote.
Now, this isn't the first time that Huntington Beach has tried to assert more control over its local elections. Last year, voters passed a measure giving the city authority to require voter ID and manage local elections independently. But the state of California sued. They argued that local voter ID rules violate California state law.
Yeah, and the case of a disgraced former supervisor has triggered a major review of Orange County government finances. Former OC supervisor Andrew Doe pleaded guilty to accepting more than $500,000 in bribes and steering over $10 million in favored nonprofits. He is now serving 5 years in prison. The Orange County Board of Supervisors will now choose an independent auditor to examine the past 5 years of county funds. After approving the audit in December of 2024, the supervisors say the audit is aimed to uncover any additional misuse and rebuild public trust.
Coming up on Chapman News, fixing the historic circle in Old Town Orange near the Chapman campus. Learn how city leaders are trying to make the area safer and address the parking headache.
Coming up, an inside look into the FOE movement and how this group of men turn their past into purpose, making sure the youth stay out of gangs, crime, and drugs.
I'm worried about Mom.
Mom? She's fine. These the ones, right, Mom?
Yeah, groundlings.
Sweet potatoes.
Daddy, it's salty.
Some things come with age.
And some don't.
Early detection of Alzheimer's can lead to better care for your loved one. Learn the early warning signs at 10signs.org.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
Welcome back. Earlier in our newscast, we had a live report about the strike by healthcare workers at Kaiser Permanente. We would like to note that Kaiser issued a statement saying its patient services will not be impacted by the strike and will continue. Kaiser also maintains that it has offered a fair contract to the workers.
And on top of that, there are mixed reactions to the Trump administration's recent decision to approve a second version of the so-called abortion pill. According to the FDA's latest review, the generic low-cost version of mifepristone is safe for use. It is approved to end pregnancies through 10 weeks. Organizations like Chapman's Aura say it is important for women to have reproductive choices, including the abortion pill.
I truly believe it was unnecessary because our abortion-approved pill, mifepristone, has been approved for 25 years.
Maybe they do not have the finances to support it. Maybe they are not ready. Maybe it was not consensual. Maybe it was, and lots of times what mifepristone is used for is early detection of miscarriages.
Some abortion opponents contend that mifepristone has not been proven safe. The Horizon Pregnancy Clinic in Huntington Beach says it provides pregnant women with alternative resources but does not provide information about abortion.
They will not receive those services from us, but what we will do is show them, yes, you are definitely pregnant, and here's how far along you are in the ultrasound, because that will help them determine what decision, if they still choose to terminate, if they need the pill or they need surgical, and they can make a more educated, empowered decision for their own health.
Access to abortion has been greatly restricted in many states after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022.
For years, the historic Orange Circle near the Chapman campus has faced problems with traffic safety and a lack of parking. Now, the city is searching for solutions. This is video from 2023 of a police pursuit ending in a deadly crash in Orange Circle. Later that year, the city spent nearly $500,000 installing bollards to protect the plaza and added lights to increase visibility. Fast forward to 2025, and several more crashes have happened. Take a look at this one from August. Now, the City Council is considering alternative solutions. Right now, temporary reflectors have been installed on Chapman Avenue, but long-term solutions are a work in progress.
You know, unfortunately, the staff didn't bring us all the data that would have helped us make a decision. And secondly, I think that there's a lot more we can explore. It's not all about necessarily just big, heavy crash barriers.
But by looking to the past, there could be an answer.
So sometime between, I want to say 1920 and 1940, what was around the plaza was planters. So they were concrete planters. They had like a motif on the outside. They're easy to replace, but they are a good deterrent.
There's also another problem in the circle, the shortage of parking. Starting this fall, Orange will be charging for parking in select locations. City planners say the purpose of paid parking is intended to spread out where people park and provide incentives for employees to park farther away, allowing more customers to patronize businesses. Another perk of paid parking, the revenue that the city will take in sales tax if more customers have the opportunity to eat and shop.
When you look at the city's need for more and additional sales tax, one of the ways you do that when you have a really vibrant business zone is turnover.
Councilmember Barrio says that there is also the need to address the city's ongoing budget problems.
You know, on the one hand, you feel a great deal of personal responsibility. You know, this isn't a stepping stone, this is our home. So to see that those kinds of mistakes were made, that kind of neglect was allowed to go on for so long, is just heartbreaking. But, you know, you have a council that's really dedicated at the end of the day.
Yeah, and one group of men is working together to keep the peace on the streets, helping others avoid the violence they once lived.
Our reporter Isabella Savea introduces us to the FOO movement in Carson.
Thank you, Ryan and Caroline. Fa'atasinga o Uso, or the FOO movement, which means Gathering of Brothers, is a nonprofit founded by former gang members from all over Southern California. Their mission is to help reintegrate former inmates back into society, reduce recidivism, and keep the next generation out of gang life. They also support addiction recovery, providing a safe, clean, and sober living environment for those ready to start over. I spoke with 5 members of the organization to learn more about how they turned their lives around and why they want to help people who are in the same place they were years ago. After years of struggling with addiction, Tony Barron found a second chance through the FOO movement.
I couldn't do it without the FOO movement giving me a second chance at life.
The FOO movement started in 2020, rooted in faith, brotherhood, and a shared belief that change is possible. Members all have one thing in common.
You know, he was a Crip growing up, I was blood, he was an SA, he was the blood, he was Frick. We're all 5 of us from different gangs.
They now come together in peace with the same mission, to undo the legacy they left behind.
We created the streets back in the 70s. All the gang banging, all the drugs, we created all that. So we feel like the group, it's our responsibility to undo some of this stuff. And so that's what we do today. We try to show the youth a better way.
The only culture they knew growing up was the gang culture. It wasn't until they were behind bars when they started to reconnect with their Polynesian roots. Now, the foundation sends cultural items to those still on the inside to help them keep their heritage alive.
I lost my culture, the way, my snow ways out here. I went to prison. I ended up finding my cultures again, about, getting involved out of my was in prison. And that's how a lot of us in prison, we all start coming together and start learning our ways.
But changing lives on the outside wasn't easy at first.
There was a lot of naysayers when we first started. A lot of people, they looked at the FOO movement and was like, man, what are these dudes trying to do, man? We're going on 5 years now. We're going on 5 years now, and those same homies that was talking all that jazz are the same ones that joined eventually.
As the organization continues to grow, many members have grown too, turning their own struggles into inspiration for others on the same path.
Me and myself are recovering at this month on the 2nd, makes 3 years to be clean. And so next month I'll be certified to becoming a drug and alcohol counselor.
The movement continues to host community outreach events, such as Feeding the Community, school backpack giveaways, and their annual Christmas toy drive gala. This past weekend, they held a fundraiser, selling more than 100 plate lunches, all of which goes to programs that help people like Tony stay on the path to recovery.
They gave me the resources to go to volunteer for community service, AA classes.
After years spent in gangs, prisons, and battling addiction, these men turned their past into purpose, helping keep youth away from the same life they once lived. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Isabella Savea.
The bottom of the pool is usually a desolate space, but one sport is bringing it to life. I'm Nico Schwegler, and after the break, I'll tell you all about the incredible game of underwater hockey. That plus sports and more coming up on Chapman News.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me, and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
Try to
understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at soundidouttogether.org.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
It's time to talk sports, because what's life without a little bit of competition?
Absolutely, Ryan. From international deals to NFL drama, there's a lot to cover this week.
NFL drama. Sophia Youngs has it all in this week's Panther Sports Roundup.
Welcome back to the Panther Sports Roundup. You're going to be stuck with me for the next 2 minutes, so I say let's jump right in. Let's just say it's a good day to finally call yourself a Tennessee Titans fan, as they fired head coach Brian Callahan after a subpar start to the season. Callahan, who was hired earlier this year, struggled to generate momentum for a team that's been searching for an offensive identity. The final straw came after Sunday's 2010 loss against the Las Vegas Raiders, a game marked by missed opportunities and a quiet performance from the Titans offense. Team officials say interim coaching decisions will be announced later this week as Tennessee looks to regain control of the season. And Mission Viejo is going Dutch as the city signs a multi-year deal with Team Netherlands ahead of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. The agreement makes Mission Viejo a primary training hub for Dutch athletes as they prepare for the 2028 Games. Under the partnership, athletes from the Netherlands will train at local facilities like Saddleback's College Stadium and the Margarita Aquatics Complex. City officials say the deal would bring in more than just publicity. It can stimulate the local economy and give a boost to major businesses. They hope the collaboration will put Mission Viejo on the map for top international sports destinations. To wrap it all up, punches and flags were thrown, and now the NFL's weighing in after the Chief-Lions showdown got ugly. Detroit safety Brian Branch rejected Patrick Mahomes' post-game handshake and instead took a swing at the Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. That punch ignited a full-on melee. Helmets flying, players pouring in from both sides, and with coaches and security rushing to break it up. But the damage was already done. The NFL has handed Branch a one-game suspension, but he's already working on an appeal to get back on the field. And that does it for the Panther Sports Roundup. I'm Sophia Youngs, and thankfully, reporting takes much less cardio than practice. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Sophia. For the first time, a brand will get to keep its name attached to a venue when it is used for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics. The Honda Center in Anaheim will get to keep its title when it hosts volleyball in the upcoming Olympics. Business professor Noel Murray says the agreement could be part of an attempt to ease the tension between the Olympics and host countries.
The Olympics are a huge burden financially on countries, specifically on the host city. We were down in Brazil in January before the Olympics in Brazil, and we got to witness riots on the streets from people upset about the financial burden of the Olympics. They were rioting because they wanted Olympic quality hospitals, Olympic quality.
And according to Professor Murray, the Olympics partnership with Honda will also give the automaker an opportunity to showcase and leverage its brand on a global scale. There are 19 other venues for the 2028 Olympics that could also get corporate sponsors.
Well, speaking of the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles is still 3 years away, but a fight is already underway over the surfing events. Chapman News reporter Lisa Pressler has the story.
There is a rising tide of controversy in the U.S. surfing world. U.S. Ski and Snowboard wants to be in charge of the surfing competitions for the 2028 Summer Olympics, but many surfers oppose that.
I don't think it's fair because it's kind of surfing. I don't think someone that, they're skiing, not even close to the beach, I don't think they should have control over it. And I know they're probably doing it just for financial gain.
But others note U.S. Ski and Snowboard says it can take surfing to the next level with more funding and training resources.
They'll have a bunch of infrastructure in place, with gyms and different facilities that they use for training. So I absolutely think there's going to be a benefit there when it comes to that, just because those facilities cost a lot of money and a lot of time to build. So I think if those are already in place, that'll be a bonus for any surfer that's on the team and participating. So I think that that will probably be a net positive.
The surfing competitions for the 2028 Olympics will take place at Lower Trestles Beach in San Clemente. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee will have the final say about who runs Olympic surfing and has scheduled a second and final public hearing on the topic for later this month. This is Lisa Pressler reporting for Chapman News.
All right, Ryan, we talked a little sports chatter with Sophia earlier, but there's one sport creating a tidal wave here in OC.
Yeah, that's right. Underwater hockey, also known as octopush, is bringing out competition from the deepest parts of the pool. Let's swim over to Chapman News reporter Nico Schwegler, who is jumping into the deep end. Hey, Nico.
Caroline, Ryan, spot on. Even with the NHL season starting, I left the ice and submerged myself beneath the surface for a hockey that's making some new waves. Hold your breath, hold on for the ride, and let's dive right in.
Underwater hockey is the greatest pool sport you've never heard of. It is a version of hockey that's played on the bottom of the pool.
Casey Nakamura, coach of OC Octopush, says it's a sport that's not your average stick and puck game.
Remember, you're playing in 7 feet deep of water, so you're not just reaching down, you have to dive down. And so you wear a dive mask, you have a snorkel, and you have flippers and fins, so that it actually moves really fast under the water. If you want to dive down, it starts at the recreational level, and people, coming out to have fun, coming out to play a game, be challenged, and get a great workout.
Underwater hockey is not a recent fad either. Created in 1954, the sport of octopush was created across the pond in Portsmouth, England, before sailing its way across the sea in the 1960s, right here to the States. And between all the different rules, the different tactics, and everything in between, I think the only way to truly know how this sport works is to dive right in. That's exactly what John Wagner did, taking his love of hockey from the ice to the pool.
I've been playing hockey since 1993, and everywhere I go I plug into underwater hockey. I've played in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, San Francisco, here in Orange County, and even internationally. I come back to hockey because it's an amazing team sport. I always meet cool people doing it, and it's a lot of fun.
No doubt about that. After a few rounds, I got to be a part of that teamwork.
Ultimate team sport. You can only stay down for as long as you can. Probably 5-10 seconds, maybe a little bit more if you're really pushing it.
And whether you're barely keeping your head above water like me, or a seasoned pro with the puck, OC Octopush brings a new wave of fun to life.
OC Octopush!
Well, a few hiccups along the road, or should I say in the pool, but hey, I thought the experience went swimmingly. Finally reporting from dry land, I'm Nico Schwegler for Chapman News.
Looks like a lot of fun, Nico, but there's still more to come. A local festival highlighting cultures from around the globe. See what traditions are embraced at a multicultural event in Irvine.
Good afternoon. I'm Natalie Ross. And I'm Samantha Thomas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chapman News. I'm Steve.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News.
Since 2010, Chapman News has been covering weather, entertainment, sports, politics, and news, broadcasting from Dodge College's Marionette Studios.
As the only live newscast in Orange County, our journalists aim to highlight local, statewide, and national communities.
We're here to provide the most accurate, engaging, and relevant news for our community.
Tune in to our nationally recognized and award-winning newscast, Chapman News.
Watch locally on Channel 6 or on our YouTube to stay updated with the latest.
It's a new chapter for Chapman University. Matt Parlow is the university's new president, following the retirement of longtime president Daniele Strupa. Parlo previously served as Chapman's executive vice president and chief advancement officer, as well as dean of the Fowler School of Law. Strupa, who will continue to teach at Chapman, is credited with leading the university through record enrollment, increased national recognition, and major campus expansion. Strupa congratulated Parlo on his new role, saying, quote, "I can't imagine a leader more tailor-made than Matt Parlo to succeed me and lead Chapman into the future. Chapman is in excellent hands." Strupa's daughter, Ariana, is a senior at Chapman. She says watching her father retire as she finishes her own college journey feels like the end of an era and the start of a new one for the university.
It's definitely slightly emotional having my dad announce his retirement, but I think it's so wonderful being able to walk around campus and see everything that he's built. And I know he's so proud of everything that he has done here at Chapman, and seeing it grow so much throughout the past 9 years has been absolutely incredible.
The university celebrated Parlo's inauguration with 2 weeks of events, including homecoming weekend and the official investiture ceremony.
NASA is heading back to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years. The space agency announced plans for Artemis 2, a 10-day mission that will take 4 astronauts to the moon and back. The launch is set to happen sometime between February and April of next year. Donald Lynn, a member of the OC Astronomer Society, says NASA's been planning this mission for years, but keeps pushing it back.
I was happy to hear that, but you take it with a grain of salt. It may happen later, but at least it's on its way to happening, and I'm happy to see that we're going back to the moon.
NASA says this mission will lay the groundwork for a long-term human presence on the moon.
The Irvine Village Global Festival was back for the 24th year in a row this past weekend. The festival features international foods, a global marketplace, and art and culture exhibits from all around the world. It also features over 100 musical and dance performances. Organizers say the event highlights the mix of cultures that come together in Irvine.
Irvine is America's most diverse, with more than 50 languages spoken, dozens of cultures represented. Right here, people living together, working together, going to school together, and building a wonderful community together. We celebrate that, and we celebrate the harmonious nature of what we have built together.
The city's first multicultural festival was held in 1988. It became an annual event in 2001 and has grown in popularity every year while celebrating cultural diversity in the city of Irvine.
Well, they're Billboard's first female K-pop act on it to make its Hot 100 charts.
That's right, Ryan. They're glowing and golden. The group known as Huntrix is from the Netflix film K-pop Demon Hunters, and they're smashing records in the music industry. Chapman News reporter Ingrid Lee dives deeper into the foreign group's success. Ingrid?
That's right, guys. This group is definitely going up and seizing their moment. The animated film follows K-pop girl group Huntrix, secretly disguised as demon hunters, to eliminate their rival group, the Saja Boys. Arden Cho and Anya Sop voiced Rumi and Jinu respectively as the main leads. K-pop demon hunters quickly rose in popularity, and so did its soundtrack.
Golden, sung by Huntrix, became the first female K-pop single to reach #1 on Billboard's Top 100. It also topped US Spotify's daily chart, making them the first female K-pop group to do so. The soundtrack itself has now sold more than 1 million copies in the US, meaning it has achieved platinum status, a big honor in the music industry. The group learned of the news on a recent episode of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
You have a platinum record. This is for you. You have a platinum record. Congratulations!
Michelle Cho, an assistant professor of Korean media and East Asian popular cultures at the University of Toronto, credits the soundtrack's success to the expertise of people working in the K-pop industry.
This soundtrack features elements that people now kind of see as hallmarks of the K-pop industry. A lot of really catchy melodies, complex arrangements, a lot of like genre bending in the songs or combining genres within the songs.
Cho believes that is what makes his soundtrack shine and opens the door to discover more about the K-pop industry.
K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack was such a good vehicle for highlighting some of the strengths and the kind of representative features of K-pop as an industry. I see that as, you know, a characteristic that the creative teams will want to carry through going forward.
And just like how Rumi needs Mira and Zoe on her team, so do the creative minds behind the soundtrack.
That kind of team approach, I think, is it's not really an idea that we tend to associate with pop celebrity in the United States. And that's not to say that K-pop artists are not unique and singular, but just that they don't have the same kind of attitude about individual genius. I would say that it's more of a group effort.
She sees a unique bridge between the film and its music.
When people are listening to these tracks, they're not just responding to the music itself, but they're also kind of evoking a memory of their encounter with the characters and with the storyline and the way that the film made them feel. So I think it's just a testament to the power of that linking of narrative and music.
But when it comes to who wins from the success, it's not the K-pop industry from Huntrick's success.
When we think about cultural identity versus cultural ownership or ownership of media property in this case, it's not really Korea that's winning out necessarily directly from K-pop Demon Hunter's success. It's, you know, we have to kind of remember the way that media corporations work.
Sources told The Hollywood Reporter that Sony Animation and Netflix are currently talking about a sequel. I am certainly eager to see what's next in store for Huntrix and their new songs in their future comeback. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Ingrid Lee.
Thanks, Ingrid. Well, that's it for today's edition of Chapman News. Make sure to stay dry.
And also be sure to follow us on social media at Chapman News. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.